living the life.
So the idea of our product is really to try and take the existing mortgage solution and try and tailor it primarily to the Muslim populace, to remove riba from the equation, which, as we know, is forbidden in Islam. So we've created a new version of the mortgage which aims to do that. So the way it works is, if you imagine our company, Primary Finance, gives you a sum of money to buy your home with, but then the way the pricing works is, although you're the home owner from day one, so you completely own your home, the way we price it is we assume that we jointly own the property together. So let's say if we each put up 50%, then you own 50%, we own 50%. So you then pay us rent on the 50% that we own. And in that way, that gives you the right to live in the property. Now, the rent that we charge is completely unrelated to interest rates or anything like that. It's based on the property market. And you have absolutely no obligation to buy our share from us. So you can continue renting for the rest of your life if you like, or you can purchase our share from us as and when you like. And that's really the fundamentals of the product.
So basically, the end user or the purchaser has got flexibility here. And I suppose that probably makes it more affordable, because I guess what I have found with the conventional Islamic, or even conventional mortgages and even the Islamic mortgages, sometimes people felt that the payments were quite high, because you're essentially paying the rent plus you're paying to buy your share back. So just to have the option of where you can just pay rent, I suppose, makes it more manageable.
Exactly. So the idea is to give ultimate flexibility and indeed security to the home buyer. So when the home buyer can afford to purchase equity, then they do so. Now, we don't want to trap people in a rental cycle. The whole idea of the product is to help people purchase their property. So what we do is we have a recommended amount of equity to purchase each month, and if you stick to that amount, then we give you a massive discount on your rent in that month, and that's your incentive to purchase equity. So that way we don't trap people in a rental cycle.
I have to ask, just with respect to the market itself, is there a market out there? Because I remember in the early 2000s, we had HFC Amana. I think Lloyd's also introduced an Islamic finance model, and then they came and went. We had Islamic Bank of Britain went on to become Al Rayan. I think they're possibly the only ones left now. Certainly now, of course, you guys. So when we saw the other banks leave, to me that almost said the market wasn't there, it wasn't profitable. But now that with you guys starting, does that mean people are asking for these things? Are people interested? Has the attitude changed? And what's happening on that front?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even launched yet, and we've just had tremendous interest in this product so far. And I think on the website it has all the details, all the intricacies of the product. The product kind of speaks for itself. I think the key thing we've tried to focus on is not making profit the primary objective, but actually making the benefit to the home buyer the primary objective. So certain things you'll find in our terms and conditions, there's certain instances where we would technically have a right to take a share of a cost or a profit, and we actually give that to the home buyer because our aim is to actually make it as beneficial to the home buyer as possible, inshallah.
Absolutely. That's incredible. Now, it's always wonderful to speak to the founder, but especially in this field, in this sector, it's very important that you have someone with you alongside this journey who is of an authoritative body. And of course, being a sheikh, subhanallah, being a sheikh is so important. Now, Sheikh Salman, yourself, you have so much experience, of course, education, academia, in the beautiful Islamic finances. Now, explain to us, how is this Sharia compliant for those watching at home?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I feel that everything I've done in my life has led towards this. So I qualified as an English lawyer, worked in a big English law firm in Islamic finance. I studied Sharia in Syria, studied with many scholars. And the consummation of all of that is a set of skills that I can then use to benefit the Muslim Ummah, whereby we can create a solution for the Muslim Ummah that is truly Sharia compliant, in which I have absolutely no doubt.
So I've got to ask, how do you deal with the kind of the skepticism? Because I know that is a problem we have, right? That people do look at the mortgage and think, we've just taken the term interest and rebranded it rent. How do we deal with that? How do we, because I know there's people watching this right now, so possibly saying the same thing. And I imagine you probably unraveled the contract in that respect. But tell us a bit more about that.
So I'm one of those people who really believe in substance over form. I don't believe that we can sort of tweak a contract here and there, change the word interest to profit and say it's Sharia compliant. You can't put a halal wrapper on something and say it's Sharia compliant. I don't believe in that approach. So, I really look at the substance. And here what we have is a genuine co-ownership where there is genuine risk sharing. So we the finance company, if there is a loss made on the property, which is very, very unlikely, Yeah. So if the property goes into negative equity, we have to sell because of the circumstances. And in the worst case scenario, 10,000 things go wrong. In the worst case scenario, we do make a loss. We will share in that loss, and that's a challenge that we put out to any bank out there. That will you take a loss if there is a loss made? We will take that loss. And that's what makes it genuinely and truly Sharia compliant. And I'm trained by Awafi. So Mufti Taqi Usmani is the chair of the Sharia board of the Bahraini entity called Awafi. They set the Sharia standards globally for the Islamic finance industry. So I'm certified by Awafi as a Sharia advisor and auditor. So I know all the intricacies. So I've made sure that at every step of the structuring, we have never cut any corners, and we've made it a genuine risk-sharing participatory product. We've made it fair on the customer.
It's very interesting because I remember that was the area of contention.
Absolutely.
When the initial products came out, was they're not sharing the risk. So the fact that you're able to come up with a product like that, I mean, like I say, it's brave of you to do that as well. Because obviously you say, look, if there's a risk, but that's what the Islam model is all about, right?
So actually, that's a crucial point because we've actually tried to go. We've actually tried to go one step further, and it goes back to the point I made earlier. So if there is a loss when the property is sold, we'll share in that loss. Whereas if there's a profit when the property is sold, we actually give that to the home buyer, even though technically we'd have a right to that profit. So we've tried to go one step further, not just share the risk, but actually benefit the customer as much as possible.
Amazing. But for those, for lay people like myself, let's just say, who don't necessarily understand the difference between riba, traditional mortgages and halal mortgages, I mean, what would be the black and white answer, or if there is a black and white answer? How will you kind of explain in an eloquent and yet clear manner to those at home to say, well, actually, what is the difference between riba interest? I mean, is it interest? Am I on a halal mortgage, a haram mortgage at home? People may not know. I mean, so many people are going to the banks now, especially young couples now who are looking to get their first home, and they're getting these mortgages, and they don't really know what they're getting themselves into.
So the key difference is really, it boils down to the risk. So, if I give you £100 and you now owe me £100 in a year's time plus, say, a 10% interest rate, you give me 110 in a year's time. The only risk I'm taking in you, suppose you're the entrepreneur or you're the home buyer, the only risk I'm taking in the home is your inability to pay me back. The home could fall into the sea, but you still owe me £110. You see, so I'm not taking any commercial risk or any risk in the property, right? And so what I'm doing is lending you money. That's what's haram. But what the Sharia says, what the Quran says is, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. Allah has made trade, selling halal, and made riba haram. So we can enter into a trade, a partnership, whereby we take joint ownership of the property, genuine joint ownership, not just a contract that says co-ownership, but actually all the risks are hived off onto the customer through the terms and conditions. Because you can do that. If you're a clever lawyer, you can get them to draft it like that. And that's what happens often. What we've done is we've got a genuine co-ownership where there's true risk sharing, risk and reward sharing. But what we've done, because we want the home buyer to eventually own their property and not trap them into this rent cycle, we have said we'll take only a small portion of that, of the upside of the equity increase, and give most of that back to the customer, so they can eventually own their home and benefit from the equity.
Fantastic.
Incredible.
Very good.
I mean, I'm baffled by it. In a wonderful way. I'm thinking, well, how do I sign up for this? And which probably leads us on to the question: when they're getting started?
Exactly. When did it start? Because obviously you're saying you're about to launch all the products there, the finances there. No doubt people are running up and saying we want to log on. And
I'm about to send my email later on this evening.
Exactly. So when's the big launch? When it will be available?
So we're currently seeking approval from the regulator. We need regulatory approval before we can take it to the wider market. As I say, we've used the product on a private basis already, and as soon as we receive that approval, inshallah, we'll be ready to launch. But we're hoping to start offering it out on a more private basis early next year, around March time, inshallah. Details are on the website, www.primary-finance.com, and you can just keep on track of the website, and we'll post updates there, inshallah.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm really intrigued by this. I wish you guys the best success.
Living the life.